welcome to Synchronicity, which is definitely a podcast that still exists, even if I don't really do it. In theory, it lives on forever, right? It's not going anywhere. I'm trying right now to figure out how I can roll a joint and record this. Do I have a stand? All right, no joint. It probably wouldn't be a great listening experience if I was smoking a joint anyway. How have you guys been? I don't know when the last one of these was. I definitely missed, I feel like, all of November. Is that right? I think that's right. Definitely missed all of November. There's been a lot of shit going on in my life. How's your life? It's been insane. Chaos. Is there a word that is more than chaos, where you just want to go a few levels deeper than what that term encapsulates? Chaos is bad. Don't get me wrong. It's like pretty fucking awful. You know, there's a lot of shit going on and a lot of energy. More than that is what I'm looking for. And you know the feeling like when stuff happens and like you weren't even, sometimes you're in the mood, you're like, something's up, I'm going to get to the bottom of it. I get it. You know, you can do that. But sometimes you ever just like, everything's good. You know, you're working with what you got. The situations in your life are pretty good. They may not all be ideal. And then just something comes out and like you get barraged with like these energetic hits and you're like, what the fuck is going on? And then you have to go, why is this happening to me? And then obviously the first tendency is to blame other people. Even if people are literally attacking you, I encourage you to withdraw your awareness away from that and try to figure out what you, by the creator of your experience, are trying to tell yourself, right? What is the lesson that is supposed to be learned here? So I had a bunch of those. I can't talk about them publicly yet just because they involve other people. I can assure you that everything is good. Everyone is happy, healthy, safe. The Aslan, my youngest child, is a joy and a beauty. Denise is doing great. Kids are great. So, you know, things are good. There's shit going on. I'm sure I will reveal it. If you basically, I could just make the Patreon the place where I can talk about this stuff, the private stuff, but I don't even really talk about it too much over there. Speaking of Patreon, I didn't do November's Q&A, so I'm going to do it here. Luckily, there's only 3 questions because I was basically not on the internet on Patreon doing anything podcast related for at least the past month, probably a little bit more, because I feel like my last podcast was pretty early in December. Anyway, whatever. Still got shit to Still got shit to say. Things are good. We're going to talk some crypto, money, consciousness stuff today. We're going to talk about specifically how to deal with situations when they feel outside of your control, or when you're feeling personally attacked, you know, how to deal with that. Or even if someone close to you feel is being attacked. Like, these are all things that can be major trigger points. And I, unfortunately, not unfortunately, but I am the type of idiot who wants to experience these things, apparently, so they can transmute/transcend them. Cool. Great. Awesome. At least I haven't lost my fun-loving personality, which is true now, but rest assured there were periods of time where that fun-loving personality was dampened, shall we say, to say the least. The flip side of this personality is when I feel like something is objectively wrong, which obviously is pretty subjective. I lose my shit. Anyone else do that? Anyone else have issues where they just totally lose their shit, and are not out of control in like a violent way, but just like, yeah, like you're gonna cause some like energy to be exploded somewhere. That's my thing. That's cool. I'm doing some holistic healing related to that. I will say, if you go through a lot of heavy shit, there tends to be this tendency to focus on yourself and like how to work on what you can control, which is you, which luckily includes your entire world, which is pretty sweet. So that's fun. Big shout out. I hope they didn't pay me this last month. I have to check. Big shout out to Ned, who continue to support this podcast. You guys must, I will say this. This is a real true thing. This is like, you want an honest to God testimonial. When I was losing my shit, when things were just looking really bad. By the way, I had COVID. We'll talk about that. Talk about some COVID stuff. I'm sure I lost a bunch of followers on Instagram because I posted the meme about putting the earplug in your ear for Omicron. Cool name, guys. I'll give you credit. It definitely sounds like Transformer stuff, little Decepticon shit. Love it. But I forgot my point, what I was saying, where I lost my shit. But anyway, you focus on yourself. That's a good thing. You should focus on what you can control and what you can do to kind of heal your own perspective on life and reality. That's always good. You always have that ability to kind of center yourself at any point. Don't let anyone tell you that you don't have that ability. I'm sorry I lost my train of thought before, but I'm sure I'll make the point later. Should we talk about... No, Jesus Christ, the point before. You mean the fucking ad I'm reading? Is this proof that I don't have anything written down, even my sponsorships? Ned, this is the testimonial. Things are looking bleak. I got COVID. I'm alone. I'm losing my sense of smell. I have to quarantine and isolate from everyone. It's fucking... By the way, did not traveled the world this past 2 years. No problems. Come back home. Got COVID. Immediately. Literally first day back. It's a story. We'll share that on the Patreon. These Ned guys, I have all this Ned stuff they send me. It's super cool. I take it probably infrequently, but when the shit hit the fan and I needed some fucking CBD and to calm down, I literally, I was like, I'm really happy I have this. And this is not like an ad read. This is actually what I did, as an intuitive thing to do because it was around in my physical presence. And it was fucking awesome. I gotta say. And it's different than just smoking weed. Most of the weed I smoke with is not really heavy in CBD because that's got different properties than THC and, the stuff I like from weed. So it was fucking awesome. Their products speak for themselves. They have a ton of them. There's new shit constantly coming out. They're just good guys. That's the most important thing I can say about them. And their products are also tremendous and you should support them. That's the ad for these guys. They're really fucking cool. Honestly, they shouldn't even pay me. I hope they didn't pay me last month. They're just genuinely cool people. If you're listening, Ned guys, you still do have to pay me if I talk about it. But here's the deal. Go to helloned.com. Use the code SYNC, SYNC at checkout. You get 15% off whatever you order. I think in perpetuity, forever. If you keep entering that code, I think it's more. You can use it more than once. Pretty sure. 15% off. I like the full spectrum CBD. I get the 750 milliliter bottle. That's what they sent me. I like it. And I use it. I also use their chapstick, lip balm they call it. That's great too. I actually need some right now. They're cool. They're great. Thank you guys for supporting the show. Go support them. Clearly you are, because they keep booking spots. They're probably the only sponsors I will ever have on the show will either be those guys or actual weed. I think those are where my interests are truly aligned. I don't even need anything. I don't even want any other products. Just those things. Good. All right. Patrons, we're going to do the November Q&A, just 3 questions. I'm going to leave out your names because you maybe didn't want this broadcast to tens of thousands of people, perhaps. Yeah. So we're going to start there. Then we'll go into some COVID stuff, some money stuff. And then, yeah. Reminder, if you have any questions, you can email me at noah@syncpodcast.com. I do get back when I have the time. It's not immediate always. It used to be immediate. I didn't have a lot of shit going on then. I got a lot of shit going on now, so it might be a little bit. But I always get back. There's the Imagine form as well, where you can ask me to imagine something on your behalf. You would be surprised the alchemy that happens when you ask someone to imagine something for you. It is a imprinting into reality when you ask another to do something for you. Out of the kindness of their heart. No big deal. Okay, questions for November. Sorry, I was the worst Patreon. Here's an endorsement for my Patreon. I suck at it. This month will be better because I got a new computer. I'm going to do a lot of the streaming. We're going to be back to normal, but holy shit, when you travel for a month and a half and then come back to a clusterfuck, you lose sight of the Patreon stuff. But no more. I'm back. Grounded. Stable. Fun times. First question. Noah, advice for feeling guilty that I want my debt to go away. Here's my advice. Don't. I don't want to pay it off slowly. I want to manifest it gone and now. I feel guilty for wanting that because trying to escape something usually means you're not learning a lesson or something. I've been carrying this burden and I want this burden gone. All right, there you go. Last sentence is your clue as to why you feel the pressing guilt and why the debt is still visible to you. right? You know you're carrying this burden and you want it gone, right? Think 10 of Wands, right? The guy carrying the wands real heavy on his back. Of course you're aware of them. They're on your back. How could you not be? The second you can perceive the reality where those heavy wands are no longer on your back and you're sitting down, you're relaxing, you're resting, having a good time, that's when everything will start to kind of coalesce around that belief and you'll see weird shit happen. The degree of weirdness is directly related to the ability for you to imagine whatever it is into your life that facilitates the outcome that you know is true, right? Does this make sense? If you don't know it's true and you feel there's something bad for wanting no debt, by the way, nothing bad with no debt. Nothing bad with debt. Nothing bad with no debt. Nothing bad with debt. Nothing bad with tons of money, nothing bad with no money. I would say there are probably going to be some inconveniences, and your temperament and emotional state may determine where you want to be on that spectrum. Money is just a construct. It's just an idea. It has to do with security for a lot of us. It has to do with, flexing and power and all these other things. There's a lot of shit that money can represent, but if it's debt and it feels heavy and you're feeling guilty about not wanting it, yeah, you're good. Just ditch it. Don't feel guilty. It's fine. It will go away when you're ready for it to go away. Very few people on their deathbeds are going to be like, oh, that debt I had, maybe if it's impacting their family in like a very serious way, but I have a hunch it's not for you. And just don't focus on it. Allow yourself to become aware of the reality where you don't have that burden. But if you feel like you have this burden and you're carrying it along, guess what you're going to see and perceive and feel? The burden of the debt. But it's not real. I can tell you this for sure. I have done some things to release myself from the shackles of debt. You want a side tangent that literally no one cares about? The Volvo XC90 has a Bowers & Wilkins premium sound system that is very difficult to find, and I believe I've located it. The stock system in the Volvo XC90 blows. It's 300 watts. Don't get it. I got one earlier this year, and now I got to trade it in. No big deal. Just saying. Don't do that. All right, back to the thing. Just don't worry about what it is you feel is oppressing you down. The second that feeling goes away and you accept the image, the imaginal technique, whatever it is, meditation, visualization, whatever you want to use, witchcraft, I don't know, herbs, spices, weed, ayahuasca, whatever it is, they're just tools that you have devised in your reality to help you loosen the, grease the wheels here to allow you to be like, all right, I don't need this. It's not serving me anymore. Debt may serve a lesson. For me, debt served a very important lesson. Do I really believe that this is real? Do I believe that debt is thrust onto me outwardly because I'm not making enough money or I don't have enough money? Or is it just like a kind of wave of the hand and lo and behold, it's gone and you have money and you're good and you can support the people you love, right? That was the lesson for me. And it was a good lesson. And I'm glad I learned it. At the time, the worst of debt, the worst of not having money sucks, especially with kids. You're just like, oh man, I got to go into more debt. But I got to say, didn't take that so hard. There were points in time where, yes, it was very difficult, but like I have a low tolerance, I feel like, for suffering. I'm just like the most hubristic, fucking tempting of fate thing you can say. Like, yeah, I don't want to keep tempting fate and like actually get served some like really horrible thing to have to deal with. But I really do have an intolerance for disharmony. Not to the point that I'm willing to sacrifice my well-being, although I will say I've been guilty of that plenty of times in the past. I think it leads to potentially a lot of my issues is being far too accepting of disharmony. But I ultimately, like, for me to stay in that state, can't do it. Can he do it? Doesn't feel right to me, feels wrong, feels like something I can correct. So I just don't tolerate it. I'm $80,000 in debt. What was the most I was in debt? Probably like $130,000 in debt, which, by the way, 5-6 years ago would have scared the living shit out of me. When I actually was $130,000 in debt, I was like, this is fine. No big deal. It's like, I know what I'm doing. No debt now. Healthy debt. right? Debt that you manage and leverage. That's my debt now. So yeah, you're cool. And then imagine something nice for yourself. Imagine abundance. Don't just imagine debt being gone. Don't focus on the negative. Focus on the positive, right? Makes sense to me. Next question. Hi, Noah. What is the status of money sign drugs? So drugs, I actually don't feel that bad about it because it's pretty clear what it was. But we launched this token drugs back in, God, I want to say like fucking May. It's so long ago. And it has been one of the more challenging professional experiences of my life because I'm working with one developer. He's very nice. He's very cool. I know him personally, but he is really fucking slow. And he's slow because he's smart and he's conscientious. And in defense of him, he could have launched what we asked him to launch several times, but he was like, hey, I think if I launch this, we're going to crash the price, and we don't want to do that. So we've been dealing with our developer. I can tell you that Drugs is launching a DEX. I'm interested in moving it from Binance Smart Chain over to AVAX. No one likes holding a bag that's down. I get it. It's like 40% down from its initial price. I know some people have made money from it because they bought lower and it's a decent price. Right now, all I can tell you with Drugs, the token, is essentially it is going to hold its value unless everyone decides to sell. It appears to me that most people don't have the liquidity or positions to actually affect the price unless everyone at the same time is like, fuck this. I was very clear with people at the beginning of it, and including myself, and I put in a big old chunk. This is a meme coin, like don't have any expectations. Now, would I have wanted to see more from some project that I invested in than basically like being like something is coming, we're talking to the dev? Yeah, but ultimately like you have to weigh whether I would, I think some people were calling it like a slow rug. First of all, luckily you can check the blockchain to see who's been buying. Like my position is very clear. I haven't sold, I am buying. I'm not staking my fucking reputation. I think the market cap of Drugs is like 400 grand or something. And there's like 200, 300,000 in liquidity. Trust me, I'm not staking my reputation and I'm going to fuck people over. And I can't even take that money. It's not like I have the ability to crash the price. It's not what's going on, but I wouldn't let anyone think for a second that I was doing something untoward. I don't know. I have no idea what to expect for it. I do know we're going to launch stuff that we've built that will happen, whether that's auspicious timing, which I believe it will be, or this shit just crashes and burns and people are like, fuck this, the price is going nowhere. I have no idea, but I continue to buy. I'm happy to be exit liquidity for people who feel, like they were taken, but I don't think many people do. I think we probably have lost like less than 40 holders since the launch of it. I think most people understood that like this is something you're holding for fun. The chances of this kind of being like a cool thing later on, it's basically your level of trust in me and whether I'm bullshitting or not, which you can check on chain. Okay, good question. I meant to speak about that for a while. You can still buy it. It's on Binance Smart Chain. No one is controlling the price of it. There's liquidity that's still there. Cool. Next question. Hey, Noah, what are your thoughts on conscious versus unconscious desires? Consciously, I really don't want to enter this relationship, but unconsciously, I clearly have some mixed feelings about it. I also met this person's best friend in a club the other day, and the person reached out to me this morning. Those feel like signs, but I don't want them to be. I definitely have a lot of resistance at the moment. Advice. I mean, you got to examine your resistance and determine whether it's a fear of the unknown or a new relationship or something that is kind of saying, hey, like maybe this maybe not for you. That's tough, right? I mean, I'm not going to pretend like that's easy. Ultimately, I tend to trust my unconscious, the part of myself I'm not aware of, which can be difficult and can be troublesome, a little bit more than my conscious thoughts. And I really love my conscious thoughts. Don't get me wrong. I really believe in my power of ability to logically discern and be aware of things. But I really want to make sure that's bridged with my intuitive faculties and can actually make sure that it makes sense, what I'm feeling and thinking. When synchronicities stack up related to relationships, it's important to feel like tune into how you feel about that person. I also like to pull cards, do some energy stuff, maybe even get readings from other people when I'm going through some shit. And basically, I find that those tend to coalesce about what I'm really feeling and believing. I have to do this often, especially when there are disagreements from maybe even people you care about and love, or getting a reading and it doesn't match up with what you consciously want. I will say, be aware that you don't want to let fear run your life ever. And, you got to really be able to suss out whether entering a new relationship or not wanting to is based on kind of an avoidance. Mixed feelings are okay. I mean, this idea that we always have clear, concise feelings. I'm someone who has a tremendous amount of conviction, but that's built up, right, over time. It's not like always an immediate snap decision. I actually, really think it's important to review feelings and desires and imaginal techniques. Like, check in with yourself. If you wanted to be like a pilot when you were like 8 years old, but now like you definitely don't want to be a pilot, maybe make sure you didn't put yourself inadvertently on the trajectory to be a pilot. And that doesn't mean consciously. Like, the shit we imagine until kind of nullified or overridden will happen, and you may forget about it and you'd be like, why the fuck is this happening? Well, you believed it's happened. Something that happened that gave you some glimpse into what your experience would be, and there you go. I can tell you now, even the situations I'm in, this does not surprise me. These things are not, they're not, for as out of the blue and fucked up as some of these things are, they're not like surprising things for me. They're probably issues, they're issues that I was aware of, maybe not at a high degree, but they were there, and then they got magnified when the time was right. So like, you can't really hide yourself from yourself. So you got to be able to trust your unconscious. Synchronicities and like, random chance encounters, quote unquote, are useful. I don't rely on those exclusively for decisions. I can have them maybe influence, but usually synchronicities and like stuff like that will indicate that there is a loosening or a thinning of the veil. That cuts both ways. That can be amazing. That can be terrifying, right? That's kind of what they're showing me. It's like, hey, it's a little void, little in between spaces today. It's like a little magical, little stuff going on. And that's always going on. It's not that like, oh, there's only certain times of day or days or months or whatever. But your ability, and when you naturally find yourself tapping into it and tapping out of it, is a choice. And so if you have these things coming up, do it. Now, if you're saying consciously you really don't want to enter the relationship, you don't fight that too much. Like, if you're like, I don't like this person, fuck them, probably don't. Or maybe like something in the future will happen where you feel differently. But I mean, don't dismiss your conscious. Use your intuition. Like, your conscious mind isn't like a retarded person. Is that not PC to say? Sorry. But you'll get it. Like, you don't fight with your own conscious mind. Like, you try to be nice to it, right? Even if it's pure ego, there's something there that's useful. Is this good advice? I don't know. Great questions. Only 3 of them because, like I said, I was in Turkey and then just dealing with crazy shit. Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and I don't know. That's what I was thinking in my head. No, let's talk about COVID. Got COVID. COVID. The Roan Zone. Oh boy. Now, I will preface this by saying I know someone recently who passed away. I didn't know them personally from COVID. I am not suggesting COVID isn't real, that COVID isn't or can be, it can be deadly. Like, all of these things are known. No one is saying it's a conspiracy completely and none of it exists. I got it. I tested myself. I saw it and I had COVID for 5 days. I lost my sense of smell for a week. I would put it on the scale of colds from 1 to 10 at a 2 or a 3 in terms of severity, meaning not a lot. 10 being you're going to die, 1 being like, I didn't even know I had a cold. I am relatively healthy, even though I have a penchant recently for Taco Bell's Crunchy Taco Supremes. Gordita's not bad either, I gotta say. I'm pretty healthy, like, relatively speaking. I do think that if you are very, very unhealthy or immunocompromised, your chances they go up that you could be negatively impacted by this virus. My dad also got it. And he's considered at risk, right? He's over 65. He's a smoker, diabetes. There's shit. He had less than me. Now let's talk about vaccines, friends. My dad is vaccinated. I am not. Okay. Not vaccinated. His symptoms seem to be on par with mine. He never lost his sense of smell. He's at risk. He was fine. I lost my sense of smell for about a week and was not vaccinated, but was fine. I don't know what that says. I don't know if the vaccine is good for older people because it's useful and that's what that says, or that you don't need it and he was fine despite it, or I was fine despite being unvaccinated. Not for me to decide, right? That's everyone's individual choice. I will say, and I think I've expressed this, this is the point where synchronicity just gets real vaccine. This is what everyone wants. I know a lot of my friends don't even want to talk about this publicly, who have public facing things, because of the backlash you can get from this. I don't care anymore. It doesn't mean I don't think this is a problem. It doesn't mean I don't think people have strong views about it. It doesn't mean I think that people should be aware of it and take the necessary precautions for themselves and their families. It's just like, I got it. I can get it again later once the antibodies wear off and the immunity, but like, I just don't, it's fine. Like, this shit is not, the truth is, and this is really the truth, as with everything, not with everything, with this particular thing, the vast majority, and I don't mean like slight majority, I mean the vast majority of people, including elderly people. Basically, if you're under 90, they're like, we can kill people. It's like, you're 90. What do you fucking, like, the flu can kill you. Everything can kill you. You're fucking 90. What do you want? This is not gonna fuck you up. The coordination and seemingly manipulation of the media to make this a big deal does raise some questions for me. I'm not a conspiracy person. I really am not. I actually get in arguments with conspiracy people who I love dearly. And I just, like, I'm not that person. It is a little weird. Maybe I'm wrong, but didn't they say for the vaccines that, hey, if you get this vaccine, you won't get it? The chance is 95% effective, right? And then they're like, well, you know what? You can't spread it. You may get it, but you can't spread it. And then they're like, well, you know what? You can spread it at the same rate as an unvaccinated person, but you won't get sick. So don't worry about that. Well, and then they're like, oh, you know what? You can get sick, but you won't go to the hospital. So, like, that's pretty good news. And then they're like, hey, well, you know, you might end up in the hospital, but you won't die. All right, I know vaccinated people who've died. I don't know what the fucking sample size is for the 95% and the 5% and the people and the whatnot. I'm not claiming to be a scientific expert. You shouldn't listen to my advice. I'm just saying anecdotally, a lot of this shit seems wrong, and I'm not surprised it's wrong. I don't even believe it's a conspiracy. I just think people don't know what the fuck they're doing. I really, truly believe that. And what makes me believe that more than anything is all the science people, just science, bro. It's science. It's like, no, have you are people aware that for most major clinical studies, you know, a length of 6 years for statistical study is like where the cutoff would be before they can make any determination about anything? Like, that's actually science. Is like, there's a component of time and measuring over time. It's one of my least favorite things about science, is how long it can take to prove something. But like, just acting like, no, it's good, 100% good. This guy, he's got a white coat on. He wrote all this shit. I read all this shit. Do I understand it totally? No, but I'll have him explain it to me. He's right. You're wrong. That shit is not going to help anyone. That goes for the unvaccinated people too. If you're an anti-vaxxer and you haven't read anything about why you're an anti-vaxxer and you just believe that blindly, that's not good either. That's bad. Don't do that. I do trust people on both sides who've put in the time and energy to genuinely understand this without bias. The problem is the without bias thing is really hard to do because people don't recognize their inherent bias just by going in and looking at something that is viewed as a problem. I have no idea what COVID is. I don't know when it's going to end. I don't know, Omicron, all this shit. It's fine. You're going to be fine. You're not going to die. You probably won't get sick. You really, I don't even know if the masks work. I really don't. I don't know about any of this shit. It does seem like, in a weird way, that like if I was trying to test out as like a shadowy cabal of world powers and individuals and oligarchies trying to pull levers, that I might try to see what people would tolerate in terms of what we're asking them to do. And it does seem like giving up some element of like medical sovereignty might be part of it. I don't care if you're vaccinated. I really don't. If you are, wonderful. I'm glad you made the decision that's right for you. If you're not, wonderful. I'm glad you made the right decision for you. I don't care. I only care in the sense that the hypocrisy and like the vitriol that comes up around this topic is insane. It's actually insane. It's like, I hope you realize that if you are getting mad one way or the other and letting it affect your life, I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry. I don't. It's a virus. It's out there. You're going to be okay. Now, if we come back in 10 years and it's like, oh man, that was the beginning. There's only like 1 billion people left. It killed everyone. It's a zombie disease. And only if the vaccinated would have got vaccinated could we have prevented it. I will admit I'm wrong. And it'll be a miserable existence for me and everyone else who maybe thought something else was going on than just the clear on the same day narrative as the economy and the stocks and everything were going down, that Omicron is here. Seems like also if I were trying to shift an economic model that is literally connecting the entire world, if I needed that to shift to something else because we realize it's not really working, I think people are catching on here, I may use things like lockdowns and economic, stoppings to justify certain behaviors. Maybe not. I don't know. Let's talk about crypto. Holy shit. I hope you've been in the server. I hope you have not thought that me talking about crypto for the past 4 or 5 years publicly has just been one grand delusion. It's good stuff. We like it. We like it at Coins. The server is the best place to go. I am not going to talk for 20 minutes, even 10 minutes about crypto because some people don't care. I find that weird, but, some people just don't care. I can get it. I could see how in a certain period of time, just be like, yeah, it is what it is. Like money is not a concept I am concerned with anymore. But seeing as it affects a lot of people's lives, I still like it. It's still interesting. Ethereum is looking like a good bet, most likely for the rest of the year. I could be horribly wrong. It just, even though it's expensive, I don't really use it. I just hold it. It is good. And a lot of people who've made a lot of money on it, more importantly, also like it. And they tend to support their own bags. Layer ones, meaning Ethereum competitors, other chains that exist on their own, like Bitcoin is a layer one, AVAX is a layer one, Luna is a layer one. There's a ton of these things. I'm an AVAX guy. I've been clear, not just anti-vax, also AVAX. Seriously though, AVAX is great. It's fucking awesome. I don't think it's too late to get in. We're nearing what feels like to me the end of this cycle. Okay, that means two things. One is we're probably going to get some crazy price action both ways, which means it can be very profitable. But it also means you don't have the luxury of the past year and a half, almost 2 years, to just build positions and just set it and forget it. That becomes harder to do. Now, in 5 years, if any of these blockchains are still around, as Bitcoin and Ethereum have shown time and time again, they will be more valuable. They are doing things that are useful for people, right? It's that simple. If you can make more money doing this than going to a place and working at a job, I don't think people are going to be like, you know what? I think I want to go to that job that I don't like. I don't want to click buttons and make money. That sounds bad to me. I don't think that's going to continue. When the least crypto savvy person in your life is using crypto, that's probably when it's too late. That's probably when it's like, all right, this is just the thing now. Maybe there's not the same opportunity as we're not there. We're not close to there. I don't think it's happening. This cycle, I don't even know if we're going to get bear markets the same way. I know that sounds delusional. The prices definitely will go down. It's just, this is a thing now. This isn't some code that people are waiting to see if people take seriously. It is a thing now. The big boys are here. The VCs are here bragging about how much they made on Solana, right? They're here. It's happening. So that's not going away. I hope you understand that. It can be risky out there. I've been scammed. I've been rugged. I've been tricked. But I've also done well. And the doing well, the perseverance and the persistence seems to be the key issue that crypto tries to convey over and over again. When I say crypto, I'm just talking about the energy, right, behind whatever is driving this manifestation that we perceive as cryptocurrency. It rewards persistence. It rewards also, paradoxically, being an idiot. The best trades I have made fiscally would be considered reckless and stupid and insane. And why are you doing that? However, those same trades have really changed my life. So you just have to recognize you're learning a lot of multiple lessons. If money is something you're interested in, turbocharge it with crypto. That's basically the selling point. That's where we're at right now. Whether it's NFTs or the staking rewards or farming or coins or seeding or launching something like drugs and seeing what happens when people get pissed off that the thing doesn't launch when it's supposed to. Whatever it is, get involved is my advice still. I will tell you when I think it's bad to get involved. I am giving the warning and the caveat that when I was screaming from the rooftops over the summer, get involved. This is a good time. This is an amazing time. We got a lot more juice left in this. I personally believe that. I'm not saying that now. I'm saying, yes, probably a pretty good time. Feels pretty good. I'm backing this up with the amount of money I leave in the market. Don't get me wrong. I take fucking profits. I do not just leave it in there. I learned that mistake in 2018. Took out such a small, it was good for me at the time, but looking back, I take that out in a week or two, and that's all I took out for the entirety of that run. But I also got in right about now, little before in 2017. I don't know if it's going to be completely cyclical and it's just going to end up, crashing hard, blow off top. I'm not sure that happens, but it could. So if you're getting in now, have a long-term approach. Have a plan that if the price drops 50%, if you're buying Bitcoin or Ethereum, that you are expecting that and we're potentially betting on upside that will come later, and that you should probably think about dollar cost averaging in as the price falls. Now, don't be reckless and shoot your wad as things are cratering and trying to catch a falling knife. Don't do that. But just have the right approach to this. Persistence, perseverance, conviction. You'll be okay. I am now in a position where I luckily and thankfully get to send money to people I care about and know who could use it. It's a very good feeling. Feels good, man. Feels good. You too can be there, not just with crypto. People are doing it with other things, stocks, businesses, entrepreneurship, selling drugs, whatever it is. It feels good to use money to support people you care about. That's it. That's basically the thesis in the whole thing. If your goal is to make money so you can buy a yacht and have fancy shit, totally. I would like to point out that those things aren't mutually exclusive. I've sent more money to people over the past month and a half than I've spent on things for myself. But you better believe I'm getting that fucking Bowers and Wilkins in that Volvo. You better believe it. I'm not driving around listening to fucking 300 watts of bullshit. Give me 1,400 watts. You can do both. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing bad about it. You can fix your relationship with money if you don't have a good one. You can enhance it if you already do. You can shatter it if you really have no fucking idea what's going on. Just there's a lot of opportunities, and that's kind of why it's most interesting. I also feel it really will show you a lot about your character and your experiences. If you get fucking wrecked, you do horribly, if you're not doing well, what the fuck? What's going on? Every time something runs up tremendously and people do great, there are other people who have sold that far too early or had a loss because they jumped in and it went down. They're like, well, it's over. I've been that person. It happens. Are you going to stop? Are you going to quit because of that? It's over? No more? End? That's your choice. Same thing with imagination. Same thing with manifestation. You get to choose what you believe and when you believe it. You want to think this is all phooey? Things get a little rocky. Things get a little rough. Doesn't work anymore. Hold on to what you believe. I guarantee you the truth, your belief, has a funny way of revealing itself, even if it's a long period of time before that happens. Hopefully not. Hopefully not. But I would say it very often comes out. And you determine what that truth is. That's the thing. I'm not saying the truth is some nebulous thing that we get to shape completely. Kinda. Truth is based, right? If we break this down philosophically, usually has something to do with morality. You can be like, well, no, it doesn't. It's a fact. It just happens. That's something that's added on top of it. All right. Yeah, maybe. Sure. But when people talk about the truth, aren't they usually referring to some type of justice or fairness or order or something? It may not be fair for everyone. It may not be just for everyone, but it is something coming to light. So let your visions come to light. Have a good time. We're cool. I'm back, baby. Right? We'll do another episode this month. Maybe we'll do more than one. We'll see how I feel. I feel good now. I've been feeling good. Got acupuncture today. That's great. Who doesn't like that? Hurt when I went in my foot. I didn't like that. I don't like the hurtsies. But sometimes you got to have the hurtsies to get the goodsies. You know what I'm saying? All right. Patreon, you already know. Patreon.com/synchronicity. That's there. Music and stuff. I don't know. All the stuff's there. We do the Q&As. We'll do a bunch of live streams this month. By a bunch, I don't know how many. We'll do some. It'll be fun. Support the show. I don't give a shit. Do whatever the fuck you want, honestly. At this point, clearly this is not something I'm doing for an ego anymore. Otherwise, I wouldn't fucking not do it for 2 months. I would say I am only doing podcasts now because it feels appropriate. I think there was a period of time, especially towards the end of my weeklies, where I was just doing regularly, where I was like, this is a job. I do not react well to jobs. It has to feel. I'm making money off fucking digital crabs and sheep right now. Like, that's how I want to make money. You think I want a fucking job? I don't want a fucking job. It sounds horrible. I want to have fun and have that be related to income. Is that too much to ask? Apparently not. Used to think it was. Now it's not. So do whatever you want. The podcast will continue. We'll do some live streams. I wouldn't be surprised if we have some new endeavors coming out for people. Let me get my houses in order. And then that will happen. Support my friends on Patreon and support their stuff. Ramin, his podcast, Rainbow Brain School, Jessa. She's like me. We haven't explicitly talked about it, but we really don't. She at least does her Patreon. I'm so bad. I'm sorry. But I will be available, right? So that's good for people. Who else do I support? Sean and Cass. They're great. Lacey. She's awesome. P. She's great. Big fans. I think that's my Patreon people. Yeah. All right, that's it. I'm going to say goodbye. I will see you in a period of time that is yet undetermined. Hang in there. Have a good time. Things are good. Love you. Bye-bye.
Now you know what. You know the why behind the ears, and now the tears are just the sky. It falls onto your knees. Now you know what. You know the why behind the ears, and now the tears are just the sky. It falls onto your knees. You gotta wait a while, you have to know. And now you know what it is to see, baby. I know what you have to do, it now you got to know. And now you know what it is to see, baby. I know what you have to do, it now you got to know. You're not nothing. You don't know nothing if you have. And now you know what you got. If you're playing with my heart.